Welcome to that Ball Talk. We here for another episode. Week 9 NFL. We're gonna give you a couple reactions and power rankings, so forth and so forth. My name is Dietrich. I'm your host. I'm gonna pass it off to my man Keith.
I'm Keith, here with D, here to talk ball. I got another good week of slate of football. We talk power rankings, talk about, the few teams that went up, went down, and then all the legendary performances we had this past weekend.
For sure. So you go ahead and start us up off with again another week by a Giants football. Just dive into that for me real quick and give me some insight on it.
All right. Last time we talking about the Giants. We'll keep it short. We got Tommy DeVito at quarterback, undrafted free agent. So getting any quality quarter, and our backup now is Matt Barkley, who is like in year 14 of being in the league. So it's not going well on the offensive side. Defense just allowed 30 points to the Raiders after having a new head coach, new offensive coordinator, new GM, new everything. So it's about that time, like I told you last week. It was real then, but it's even realer now. All I've been able to do is watch college tape of Caleb Williams, and going back at his last season. I text you this. It to me was one of the most perfect game-to-game, play-to-play, full seasons I've seen from a quarterback put on film. So if Tommy DeVito can not win us another game, I think we got Bears-Panthers tonight. There are 2 of the 3 teams ahead of us, so it's looking good for us to get Caleb. Outside of that, we suck. On to next year.
Yeah, another unfortunate year for y'all. I think Daboll, I still think he got coach going forward. I got a cool little defense going on. I got piecing together slowly but surely. But that offense is going to take some work though. And then sooner or later, if y'all wait too long, Saquon gonna be walking out the door. Got a lot of injuries.
Truth be told, if we have the option to get Caleb, I think we should resign Saquon, because it'd be nice to have that luxury of a back who's top 5 in the league. Soon as you come in, takes a bit of distraction off you. Probably could add a few more weapons outside during the offseason and the draft. But if we barring any chance that we don't get either May or Caleb, I think you let Saquon go and you just start the offense all over. He's been our identity for like 5 years. It's time to let it go.
Yeah, sure. On to our next one. Another big weekend by the Ravens. I think now, they have been playing ball for the past couple of years, but I don't think they've been playing dominant ball close to this one before. They've taken out big teams. They blew out big teams, the Lions. This previous weekend, they blew out the Seattle Seahawks. It was a great defensive effort by the Ravens. They put on one heck of a show, flying across the field, throwing different stunts at Geno Smith, a lot of different everything. Stunts at Geno Smith. DK Metcalf was seeing a lot of things. I think he only received like one catch. It did look bright for Jackson Smith and Jigba though. He showed some flashes in there. But that front seven was stopping the run game, getting to the quarterback, and offense was just doing what they were doing. They were slow walking, running the ball, dominant performance by their rookie running back, I believe, Keaton Mitchell. He had like 9 for 139. Gus Edwards found the end zone like two times. Lamar didn't even have to do nothing special. He just laid back and just let the team play as a unit. I feel like that was great coaching. It was just a great game all over. And of course, I was at that game watching it live. Front row seats, section 100, row 3, seat 8 and 9. But it was just a wonderful experience and a wonderful thing to watch on the defensive side of the ball. The Seahawks, they just couldn't get nothing going on offense. Geno Smith was just holding the ball a lot. I think sooner or later he was a good bridge quarterback for him, from them to leave from Russell Wilson. He gave him a great year last year. I still think he's a okay quarterback. Of course, he's not nothing that you need to keep going for it. I do think they need to look for a quarterback in this upcoming draft, or if not this year, next year for sure. While Geno Smith has like 2 more years left on his contract, I think that they just gave him last year, that he could show them a few things until the young quarterback comes in.
Yeah, I think Geno got this year and next year under contract because they just extended him 2 years. So I think definitely, I think 100% you draft a guy this year, especially with how loaded this class is. I don't think Shedeur is going to end up going into the draft. I think Deion's been very adamant about getting a year 2 out of him. But I think, you got guys like outside of the top 2, you got Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, Penix might be around. Like you got good options this year at QB, especially with having the bridge pieces in that offense that you got. K9, Zach Charbonnet, JSN, DK. Like you got good guys on that offense, so it's not nothing to worry about them. But on Baltimore's side, and it is kind of painful for me because I got Lamar as my fantasy QB, and I'm watching them blow everybody out, and he
I had
walked
you.
away with 10, 11 points. I'm like, well, what's up now? But
Yeah.
it's really like you said, they're playing the game how it should, like how you would want it to be played on defense. They're giving Gino struggles top to bottom. In the secondary, his guys aren't open, so he's gonna either have to anticipate some throws that might lead into a pick, or
Mhm.
he's gonna have to sit in that pocket and take some shots. Neither of which you want to do at a quarterback position. And then you got up front, the run game's not getting going, so they're slowly not being able to use one option on the offense, and then when they know you're going to pass, they're coming all out at you. And
Yeah.
when they're coming all out at you, Gino doesn't have the mobility to really extend those plays that would kind of be that kryptonite to Baltimore's defense and extending that play. But kudos to Baltimore. I've got Detroit. I had Detroit and Seattle in my top 5 power rankings for the NFC last week, and they probably combined beat them like 10-60. It's some wild
Yeah.
number, but
The Ravens totally killed both of them in great fashions. Uh it wasn't even like impressive Lamar saved the day. It was just great football all around to show that we're just a better team overall, and like we're a serious team and we're a force to be reckoned with.
yeah, and it's so evident that they make the other team play uncharacteristic ball. If you like, when you can get Detroit has been playing phenomenal ball all season. If they haven't been blowing out their opponents, they've definitely been winning those games convincingly. Same, Seattle hasn't been, blowing anybody out, but they're winning good games. They've got a
Yeah.
good roster. They're playing good ball. And for you to just dismantle both those teams, show them that you're not in a tier with me. I think a lot has to be said about that, and especially me and you were talking before the season, and we were talking. One of the teams we were talking about was the Ravens, and how even though they looked good, it always seems to somehow hit the fan with them, and this year it just does not seem that they're hitting the fan at all. They're looking like how they did when they went like 14-2 that year and lost
Yeah.
to Tennessee in the playoffs. Like they're playing a very good ball, and right now they're doing it without Lamar playing hero ball. So imagine
Yeah.
if Lamar come playoff time when Lamar has to really show why he's Lamar, and that defense is playing how they're playing. It's gonna be a scary sight.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they definitely. I like the way they play ball right now, putting on for the area. I need them to keep it up. It would be nice to see Lamar get a championship for sure. I would like to see him get a ring. Um, the MVP race is wide open. He very well could win that too, but of course, that's more of like a stat pad thing. As of right now, plan wise, he may look like an MVP in the fashion his teams is winning and stuff like that. But stat wise, it's always other quarterbacks they may throw ahead of him.
If
But he's
you
still,
if you
yeah,
go on stat wise, like you can put 2 receivers above him in the MVP race. If you really go on
yeah,
stat wise, you got AJ and Tyreek that have
yeah,
arguably, if you're using the MVP most valuable player to their team, that easily goes to Tyreek or AJ because they've been way more impactful.
yeah. Next thing I want to tap into real quick is somebody who usually don't get talked about a lot, but I feel like definitely earned a spot to get talked about how they played this previous Sunday and how they just stepped into a role, came into a new team the same week and wasn't even starting the game. Wasn't even starting the game, and they stepped in and won their team the game. And Joshua Dobbs and the Minnesota Vikings, he got thrown into a role last second, just got his jersey that day, and was taking literally snaps on the sideline with his own center to learn how to snap with him, and came back. I think he actually did come back against the Falcons, and he put up. I got 20 for 30, 158 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, seven rushes, 66 yards, and another touchdown, three total touchdowns, and a comeback win. And was it overtime? I believe it was overtime, right? No. Other guy was overtime. He just had a game winning drive. But yeah, I think um Vikings might be serviceable with him. I don't see them going nowhere far, but he might be serviceable enough to I wouldn't. Nah, they division wide open, right? Yeah.
They've got Green Bay in it. They've got
Packers, Bears.
Chicago and Detroit. I mean, Detroit's probably going to win
Oh,
that
Detroit
division,
number one. Yeah. Nah,
but
Detroit won
they'll
that.
probably squeak out a wild card spot, especially with how easy their schedule is going forward.
Yeah.
Getting JJ back, it's really looking lights up in Minnesota. Now, part of it, in my opinion, coming in the game, not taking any snap, that's just utterly ridiculous. Kind of putting in 210 total yards or 3 total touchdowns
Yeah.
after, no walking in the week with nobody in that building had a single intention of him taking a snap. And he came in and did what he had to do. And, this isn't really nothing new for him. He came into Arizona, nobody expected much of them. And then they were playing a very good brand of ball. Look, they beat Dallas. So Josh Dobbs is very serviceable. I think they could definitely squeeze out a wild card spot. And it's amazing to me that we are 4 days past that game and Arthur Smith still has a job. Because if you're telling me a backup who had 0 practice reps, 0, cadence for anything, he didn't do a single thing with this team all week, but just be acclimated to being in Minnesota. And you lost the game to him after being up, especially with all the, questions they've had around, utilizing Bijan, how they're utilizing Kyle Pitts. It's just why this guy still has a job with the fashion that their team looks. They've got a bad QB situation. They've got a bad roster. Fire your coach after he just allowed, Josh Dobbs to do whatever he's so pleased coming off of, being traded that week.
Yeah. I also think the Vikings is another team who should be in the looks for a quarterback also. I think this year Kirk's contract year, right? Or was it next year?
Yeah, it's this year.
Yeah, it's this year. So I think they should be probably in another looks for a rookie quarterback too. I believe they should get one out the draft. They got a great second wide receiver in Addison. They could fill some holes on that defense, but I still feel like the quarterback position going forward with how their offense looks is a little bit more important than filling that offense, knowing how they've seen Kirk play with that offense. They show they have a high power offense. They can score. It's just, they just need to rely more on the offense than rely on the defense. So I think they should go get a quarterback to this draft. Or if they feel comfortable enough with Joshua Dobbs, let him be the starter next year and try to get one in the following draft. But I wouldn't suggest that, though. But again, it all depends on how it will play out throughout the season. Nonetheless, Joshua Dobbs had a great game.
Before we go to the next one, I pulled up their schedule because I'm genuine. They got we've got 8 games left. They're sitting at what, 4-4 right now, or
I think 5.
They've got to be 4-4 because they
had their bye.
We're in week 9 and they've had their bye.
Okay,
I think they're sitting at 4-4. They've got New Orleans this week. That's a very winnable game. At minimum, that's a very winnable game. They're playing.
It's winnable, but I'm gonna give them the loss.
I can understand that. But then they've got Denver. That's a win.
I'll give them Denver.
And then they've got Chicago. That's a win. Then they've got the Raiders. It's also a win. No, don't let the Raiders beating up on the Giants this guy. The Raiders suck.
I know the Raiders defense been coming together.
Come on, you're better than this. Don't do this to me.
I'll give it to the Vikings, I guess.
Yeah, give it to the Vikings. Let the Raiders give it another week of football.
And they getting JJ back, so I'll give it to the Vikings.
Yeah. By that time, that's in 4 games. They'll definitely have JJ back by then. Then it gets a little bit tougher. They got the Bengals and Detroit, so that's probably 2 losses. And then I think they split with Detroit, though. I really do. They play Detroit. They played Detroit twice in the span of 3 games to close out the season. But
I'll give them the last one. So the first Detroit game, I got them at 3-3 right
3-3. And then they've got Green Bay, which is very winnable.
I don't know. They almost lost that game when they had Kirk Cousins.
No, they beat them 24-10.
But they came back though, right? Or was the Vikings dominating the whole game? I can't remember it. I was busy.
I think that one was when the Vikings dominated the whole game, and it was very evident that it's not the same Aaron Rodgers Green Bay.
But then again, I don't know because they still have Joshua Dobbs at quarterback. I like Green Bay defense against Joshua Dobbs.
I can see that. I can see that. And then they got Detroit again.
Yeah, so I'll even it out. I'll give them the win against Detroit because it's the last week, and I'm pretty sure Detroit will lock up a playoff spot by then, and they'll probably be playing their backups. And I'll give them the loss against the Packers. But they very well could beat the Packers though. But just to even it out.
Yeah.
Because
there's just some very winnable games left on that schedule to be sitting at 4-4 and an NFC where that 6th, 7th playoff spot is really, really open right now.
So their ceiling is let's say they do beat the Packers again. Their ceiling is 9-8.
Well, with a 1-4 start, if you finish 9-8,
Yeah, that's good.
Especially with your quarterback tearing his Achilles. That's beautiful. That's exactly that. That shows that you have the fundamental pieces around your quarterback. Offense looks good. Defense looks better than it did last year. But if you're going from how it was last year to this year, if you add it on next year, they've definitely got some things and pieces that you can build off of.
Yeah, so I can say they could probably sell like 9-8. I get a floor 7 and
9.
Yeah, like I don't really see them losing that many games going forward, but I don't see them like the games they could lose, they could very well still win at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Like the only team I really have them for sure losing to is that Bengals.
And truth be told, with the Bengals games, like they the type team where it's any given Sunday because they can wake up. And trust me, they moved up in my power rankings too, but we still have to be truthful about the team that they are any given Sunday, that they could come in and play very lackluster football and give the team the win.
Yeah, of course, it's any given Sunday with any team, but now they just Bengals hot, and when the Bengals hot, they just get rolling.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really know, but yeah, I mean, I can see them possibly going like a 9-8ish. They can sneak their way into the playoffs for sure. And yeah, they're a real super team, and then it's like you could really win any game if you got Justin Jefferson on your team, for real. So I can see them going a lot of different ways here and there, but we just get into the next one right here. America's game of the week, NFC East rivals going at it. Two great teams. As much as this sounds weird to say, Dak Prescott had a great game until the end. Until the end. He had a great game. I was rooting for him. He had a great game. But he started making me mad. I'm not against him stepping out of bounds. It's a game of inches. Stuff happens. He very well could have played that better. He had in my opinion, I think he had a better angle he could have took. He could have gave more effort on a dive, blah, blah. But that's nonetheless, he's the quarterback. He made his decision. He got to move on with it. Now, he did get chance after again. He got, I think, a good pass. He had a good pass to the tight end. I think was that Schoon or was that
Ferguson?
Yeah, I can't remember if it was Schoon or Ferguson. But whoever it was, they almost had a touchdown too. It came up short. It was a good pass.
I think that one was Ferg.
Yeah, it was a good pass. I loved it. I love the read. I love the catch, blah, blah. Another game of inches. Unfortunate plays. Got to move on. But what made me mad was the game-winning drive. No. It wasn't a game-winning drive. I can't remember what drive it was, but he forced it to whoever 18 is. I don't even know his name on the Cowboys. Jalen Tolbert. He forced it to Jalen Tolbert. And I know if I could see this on TV, I know Dak could see it with his helmet on. In the middle of the field, his tight end was wide open. As a quarterback, you gotta hit that. And then even if you don't want to hit the quarterback, why am I passing to Jalen Tolbert?
You're talking about the fourth down play where he threw it when he was going against Bradbury. Yeah. Yes. Out of all options you have, that's where it really confuses me. There's no way out of all options. I don't care if he's especially when he has Bradbury on him.
CeeDee Lamb is getting the ball.
And I saw CeeDee's route. He did a slot fade down the left sideline, and the defender played good defense, but you still have a better probability of completing that pass to a CeeDee Lamb that finished the game with 191 yards than you do throwing the ball to Jalen Tolbert on a fourth down.
I'm sorry. I don't care what personnel is on my field. I'm not looking at no Jalen Tolbert at the end of the game. And no disrespect to Jalen Tolbert. He an NFL player. He made it there. You got to be one of them ones that still make it to the NFL. There's no shade to him for sure.
He's not CeeDee Lamb.
I got CeeDee Lamb who got 11 catches, 191 yards. He's killing one of the best defenses in the game right now. Why am I going to Jalen Tolbert for game? Yeah. Now, I will say this. They was targeting Bradbury the whole game. That's why I'm not really – a piece of me not mad that he targeted Bradbury again, but a piece of me do got to respect that Bradbury is an all-pro corner or a previous all-pro corner, and you throwing the ball to Jalen Tolbert. You know what I'm saying? You got to weigh your options. Then if you scan again, the middle of the field was wide open. Like he had his tight end wide open, like untouched. And then even still, you don't get a ball to CD. Like I don't know Dak, but he had a great game. I can't let those moments define his whole game. He was 29 for like 44, 374, 3 tuds. I love what he did throughout the game. He was playing great. Just we got to work on the clutch drives. The clutch drives
But that's my beef with Dak. It's like Dak has shown, and this is a fact, Dak has shown that he can deliver the 375 3-touchdown games. That's never been a question when talking about Dak. But I put Dak in that I'm not gonna say Jimmy G tier, but I put Dak in a tier where he will always you cannot trust. And no matter how good of a football team you have, offensively, defensively, you will when you get to the playoffs and when you get to the Super Bowl, it is a true fact that your quarterback, there will be one play where your quarterback has to make the play. You look at when Eli was in the Super Bowls, he made his 2 throws. Pat Mahomes was down to the Niners 20-10. He had like a 40-yard ball on a Tyreek. And later in that game, Jimmy G had a time where he had Emmanuel Sanders wide open and smoked it. And that's the vibe I get from Dak is that, yes, he will give me those games where he balls out. But when I need, like you said, he had Ferg wide open. He beat the linebacker. He was down the seam. It was right there for you. But your eyes were too locked in on throwing the ball against Bradbury, whatever matchup you had against him, that you had 2 better options on that play, and you took the worst one. That is my problem with Dak, and that's why time and time again, when Cowboys fans get their hopes up, Dak's 30. Like we can't be holding on to I need to see from Dak. I need to see. By now, I should have seen, and I still haven't seen. So now that the fact that I haven't seen tells me everything that I need to know about. And that's why I never fear when the Cowboys go on a hot streak, because in the end, I know it's going to come down to whether Dak can or cannot make the play. And time again, he has shown he cannot.
Yeah. And even like, it's like you got to be mad at the Cowboys, but you got to tip your hat to the Eagles still, though, because the Eagles still played a great game. Jalen Hurts, you could see he was obviously bothered by his knee. He was fighting through it. I don't know what they gave that man at the halftime or whatever, but they shot him up with something. I don't care what anybody in the NFL say. He got shot up with something crazy. He came out 7 for 23, I believe, 23, 28, 207, 2 touchdowns, 10 rushes, 36 yards, and a tud. He didn't have to do a lot, but he got the job done like he always does. AJ Brown didn't have to do a lot. His streak ended, unfortunately, but that defense showed up. The defense was going back and forth, but that offense was doing what it needed to do. Game was a little slow, but they did what they had to do on the defensive side of the ball. Offense just did enough to roll over into that win, of course. And the Eagles do a great job that I think a lot of people don't talk about. Excuse me. They do a great job at taking time off the clock. Like an immaculate job at taking time off the clock.
It's that O-line. And, once you can develop the run game that they've had and the trust that their O-line has in each other, they're going, even they look at it as I've got 4 downs no matter where I am on the field. They were on like their 29-yard line early in the game. It was 4th and 1, and they've got a tush push. So if you've got 4 plays, essentially, that changes, even though it's one more play than everybody else gets, that still changes the way you view things. Because if I can get on first down 3 to 4 yards per run, I'm looking at 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. And even then, I know in my back pocket, I got this play that's guaranteed to work. So I can either take a shot or I can make it easier right here and try and get a 4th and 1 or a 4th and 2. So when you have that in your back pocket, I think it allows them to run the ball a lot more. And it's so depressing. Like I've heard and so many players say that it is so depressing on a defense when it is 4th and 1, 4th and 2, and you know that you aren't stopping them. Like 100%.
Yeah, it is bad to see, because I ain't gonna lie, it was one of the plays. What wasn't they in their own end zone? They was in their own end zone, matter of fact, and they took push.
And they did it because they
took Michael Parsons for a 4-yard
ride. He's on the top of the pile. And when you can negate their best player and do what you want, it changes the way you view the game. And that's why Philly is, you look at the stats of this game. Dak threw 375 and 3. CD had 11 and 191. AJ had 66 yards with Hurts having 207 and 2. You look at the stats, you're gonna say, oh yeah, Cowboys won this game. But because the Eagles have that ability to milk out the clock, string the game out a lot longer than, the opposing team would want it to be, that changes how, the game's going to come out. It's why the Eagles can play horrendous football for 3 quarters and in the fourth one still come out with the win.
Yeah, I think that just goes, again, back to that great coaching they got set up. Now, in the beginning of the season, a lot of people was bashing their offensive coordinator. I was one of them. I will say I was one of them. It seems like he's starting to piece together better things, or just winning drives, winning plays, obviously. But I still think, you still got to tip that hat to that defense. That defense does a lot of work for sure. A lot of work on that defense side of the ball. And it keeps their offense in the game. And it keeps their offense calm. The calmer you could keep either side of the ball, the better your game is going to be. I think that's a lot of things that I don't see in some teams. Kind of like, it's like one side always relies on the other side, sometimes more than often. Like you can see with the Cowboys last year, for instance. Me personally, I feel like that defense was holding up the offense more times than that offense would hold the defense up. Because you had Trey Diggs going crazy, you had Micah Parsons going crazy, you had everybody playing out of their mind, kind of like, and it was some games where that defense kind of like actually won them games, literally won them games. Like, I believe, my fault, it wasn't last year, I believe. It might have been the year before last. But whatever year when Trey Diggs had like 14 or something picks, I think like 2 of them or 3 of them was like game-winning picks, I believe, or at least get picks that sealed the game, literally. Like, he was going crazy a lot of times. Another team I feel like is the Niners. The Niners have a great offense, but I feel like it's just certain games where it's like Brock Purdy don't do enough to relieve that defense. And then it's like you putting too much stress on your defense, kind of like. And you can say some things about other teams and for the offense, like the Vikings. I feel like the Vikings offense do a lot of work where like their defense isn't kind of like holding up their slack a little bit. But like I said, that's just a lot of things in the NFL where I feel like the Eagles are one of the best, that their offense pats their defense back and their defense pats their offense back.
And I think, going off of what you said, a lot of times where one side of the ball is on fire, the other doesn't really match that. I think with Dallas right now, it really is, their offense is firing on all cylinders, their defense firing on all cylinders. But the one thing that truthfully I think is the missing piece is they cannot get their run game going. Tony Pollard has been lackluster this year. That's a fact. You're not getting the same Tony Pollard that you were getting in years past. In years past, when my team played the Cowboys, or just when I watched the Cowboys in general, when Tony Pollard would touch the ball, I'm holding my breath, because Tony Pollard was either taking that to the house or he was giving you a big game. Now, I guess, I don't know if it's because he's had a more of a workload with Zeke gone, or what's been the case. They just haven't been able to develop that run game. And not being able to develop that run game, allows Dak to have those 375 and 3 touchdown games. But it also allows, okay, we score quickly here, and then we give them the ball back, and they take 8 minutes off the clock because they know how to run the ball. And that's just been the one piece on that team that they haven't been able to figure out this season, that they've got to figure out if they want to be able to compete with these higher level teams like Detroit, Philly, the Niners. Like, you have to establish a run, because the run opens up the pass. And then once you have both of those, and it's clear that they know they can pass the ball, once you have both of those, it allows you to attack so much better than just being, okay, I have to sit back and figure out ways to make sure Dak is hitting the right receiver, or make sure Dak's making the right read time and time over again, because we cannot develop a run game.
Yeah. Next thing we'll get to is a great performance by a quarterback who I can comfortably say is now top 10. Since I said the MVP race is wide open, ain't no reason my man can't get MVP and Offensive Rookie of the Year in the same year. No man other than the great C.J. Stroud. Now, before anybody look at me crazy, I feel like I said, MVP race wide open. If he keep doing what he's doing at the rate he's doing it, why can't he win it? I don't know his exact stats, but I know he got 14 touchdowns, I believe. He may have more than that total, but I know he has 14 passing. I know he has 1 interception. That alone is crazy. I know he's top 5 in yards, I believe.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
He's not even more top 5. He's not 5. All right.
Top five to Sam Howell, your boy, and Josh, Pat. It's them 5.
Okay, well, I know for sure he's top 10, nonetheless. Yeah. But on to the game. Great comeback win. He has 30 for 42, 470 yards, 5 touchdown passes. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 touchdown passes. 2 of them was to my guy, Nathaniel Tank Dell, 6 receptions, 114 yards. Noah Brown also went off 6 touchdowns. 6 receptions, 153 yards, 1 touchdown. Noah Brown, have you a day. Now, why I think he get MVP again? Why can't he get MVP? Let's say that. Every other quarterback in the league is great, next game bad. Great, next game bad. Now, I'm not saying he's had fantastic days. Terrible. Everybody has their own days where they're not playing well. But with the way he's going, he has weapons around him, weapons he's comfortable with. The way he throws the ball, the way he protects the ball. No, he keeps his turnovers to a minimum, and he still gets the jobs done. I feel like if he keep doing the same thing, I feel like he could possibly win MVP, let alone, obviously, in my opinion, I think he's going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Only the person I think that's threatening him is Jordan Addison. He's playing out his mind also. But Jordan Addison has to do a lot of work if he want to be that guy for Offensive Rookie of the Year. And C.J Stroud has to do a lot of work if he wants to win MVP. Because I feel like he can get it, but you still got to watch out for Jalen Hurts, who's playing great ball. His record is crazy, 8-1. He has the stats to back it up. Pat Mahomes could blow up anytime he want. Lamar Jackson could blow up anytime he want. It's some guys. The MVP race is wide open. You still got Tyreek Hill going crazy, AJ Brown going crazy. But I'm just saying he could sneak in there if he want to. I wouldn't put it past him. But nonetheless, C.J Stroud have a day. What's your take for that game with C.J Stroud?
Yeah, I think, you really won't. I won't say you won't, but it'll be really hard to find somebody that's been higher on C.J Stroud than me. I remember he played Notre Dame. I think it was either last year or the year before. It was the year he didn't have JSN, so probably this year. And he threw an out route for a touchdown. And it was at that moment that I knew, because he, throwing an out route, I haven't played quarterback, but I've played quarterback, in flag and other things. Throwing an out route is very hard. It's one of the harder passes to hit from the quarterback position, and he hit it with pristine precision. And, it led the receiver perfectly, which led to him being able to have yards after the catch, which led to a touchdown. But I think, and I wish we'd been doing this a lot longer, because then it wouldn't sound like I was all talk. But I told my roommate after that game that he had against Notre Dame that, I said for him and Bryce that it was going to be a reincarnation of Peyton and Drew Brees. And it's not looking too hot on Bryce's side, but with Stroud, his game reminds me so much of Peyton Manning, because both guys aren't beating you athletically. That is a fact. You know it going into the game. He's not going to outrun you.
CJ?
Yeah, he's not going to. He had 10 rushing yards, D. Like, CJ's not a mobile quarterback. That's a fact.
But CJ can still get loose, though. I feel like
in the pocket, yes, he can get loose. But yeah. I'm not giving him, like, he is a pocket passing QB. You have to agree on that.
I can agree to it to a certain extent. He's not a crazy athletic guy, but he showed he could get. Look at the college championship game with everybody before the game.
He's a more updated version of Peyton Manning. Let me say that. He's not completely brick feet in the pocket, but 9 times out of 10, he's passing the ball. He's not running it. When he runs the ball, it surprises the defense. Is really my point. But
surprise? I can't.
I'm going on what I'm saying.
I can't agree with that. I can't co-sign that, big bro. I'm just saying.
That's how I view him. But he delivers the ball, in places where it's like, even if I walked up to the receiver, I couldn't have placed it in a better spot. He does it time and time again. And my favorite thing about him is just how cool, calm, and collected he is. Like, you see him in interviews, and he's that cool, calm, and collected guy. But he's that same way on game-winning drives. Like, they were going shot for shot with Tampa Bay. And, from a rookie quarterback perspective, if, you drop 4 touchdowns at 400 yards, and then the next drive, they drive down and they score, and it's up to you to compile a game-winning drive, that's hard, because you're like, bro, I've done everything I could today, and y'all still could not stop them. But that's not how he views the game. He views it as, I'm going to go out here and go give me another touchdown. which he did. He finished the day with 450 or 470 and 5. And it's just extreme. I think it was funny that their two leading receivers both at one point were in the Cowboys offense at the same time. I think that's very funny. But
Ironic.
yeah, very ironic. But no, C.J. Stroud is, at this point, he's got to be damn near a lock to be offensive rookie of the year. 14 touchdowns with one pick. You're not even getting the best of the best QBs doing something like that. And when you come out the gate as a rookie doing something like that, especially the connection that he's been able to build with Tank Dell, it goes much past what you see on the field. Those are two guys that trust each other. I'm big on draft stuff, and the whole reason the Texans drafted Tank was because CJ requested that they did that. And you don't normally hear about your rookie quarterback that you drafted in that draft requesting somebody. Like the last time I heard a QB requesting for them to draft a player was with Mahomes requested the Chiefs to draft Allaire. And just off of him asking them to do that himself, you knew him and Tank had something brewing before the season came. And now we're really seeing it come to light of the connection and the trust that they have for each other. But those two they're playing a brand of football where you really start to question, like, and CJ Stroud is really ruining it for other rookie quarterbacks, because this is why teams aren't okay with rookie quarterbacks sitting the first year or things like that, because then you got guys like CJ Stroud who come in the league and drop 470 and 5. So he shows that it's possible to be a rookie and come into the league and still tear. And for all those O-line people who say you need an O-line, CJ Stroud at one point has had his entire line be out for one whole game, and he went out there and dominated. And it's just he's a very no excuse kind of guy, and no matter what hand he is dealt, he's always going to play it. And I think that's the most inspiring thing about him, is that he's just continuing to go out there. And he might not have the bona fide wide receiver one like a lot of these teams have. He might not have, that all-star player on offense, but he's making guys around him have career days. Noah Brown, 153, Dalton Schultz, 130, Tank Dell, 114. Like, he is making guys around him better. And you look at Aaron Rodgers and you look at Pat Mahomes and Tom Brady, and Tom Brady never – well, he had Randy, but outside of Randy, he never had that bona fide one, but he made everybody around him 10 times better. A-Rod, yes, he had Devontae Adams, Jordy Nelson, but he maximizes those guys to their full potential. And I get that same vibe from CJ, that no matter what guys you put around him, he is going to maximize their full potential. And that makes going into the draft and free agency a lot easier, because you don't have to worry about the connection between the quarterback and the receiver. But if I know my quarterback is going to take care of business and he's going to make everybody around him better, I might be able to be a little bit more loose and take some chances on a guy who has shown flashes, but another team was like, he didn't show enough, so we'll let him go. And we can take advantage of that, like a Noah Brown, and get 153 yards out of him.
Yeah, that's definitely what they're saying about C.J. Stroud. I'm loving what he's doing so far. He breaking that Ohio State curse quarterback. Everybody thought it was going to be Justin Fields, but hey, hopefully, I don't want to jinx him, but I hope it's him. It's looking like, what I'm saying? It looks like that's what he's going to do so far.
I've been tired, and you've been in the group chat. I've been saying Fields wasn't it. Everybody was on me for it, and I told y'all that boy wasn't it.
I can't say we can count Fields out just yet.
His team, if they have the first or second pick, they're drafting a quarterback. To me, that tells me that you failed. That's a fact. If they have the option to go Drake May or Caleb, they're taking it. That's without a doubt.
You could say that. I guess.
What outside of rushing the ball has Fields really shown you? He hasn't been
right.
Huh?
You're right. He hasn't showed a lot passing the ball, but like it's still that piece inside of me that knows like he can throw the ball. Like we've seen Justin Fields do immaculate things throwing wise with the ball. It's those flashes haven't became his full set of games yet. Like I'm tired of seeing flashes with Justin Fields. Show me a game in, game out. That's kind of like what I'm tired of, but I can't blame him too much. But he has been playing a little bit under the wind this year. You know what I'm saying? We've been expecting to see a better thing this year. They could have won multiple games this year earlier, but some of those losses are on his shoulders. But I can't keep putting him in hypotheticals. You know what I'm saying? I can't keep saying, oh, his ceiling this, his ceiling that. If he hasn't produced, then he hasn't produced. It's He has to be better. Justin Fields just has to be a better quarterback at this point for me to try to defend him.
Yeah, CJ had 3 pass catchers over 100 yards, and I think that in itself is very impressive. Like I was watching that Tampa game, and there were multiple times where I would turn it off. I would either switch to the New England Washington game or another game at that time, and just be like, oh, all right, this one's over. Tampa's probably gonna they keep coming back with something more, and they're probably gonna walk away with this one. And time again, I just having to come back to that game because C.J. Stroud was just coming back. And seeing things like that, I just know the Panthers. And it was so funny how CJ drops 470 and 5 while Bryce threw 2 pick-sixes to the same player. So
Yeah,
you got the first pick you have so many questions around him. And then you've got Stroud handling the league however he so pleases, giving out welcome to the league games like to other players. While you still have not seen a single game from Bryce where you're like, that's why we took him one. And if we are 10 games or 9 games into the season, and I haven't seen one game from my first pick that you are the guy or that you can be the franchise guy, enough of this, give him time. Like there is something to be said for how things look. And with the Panthers, it just doesn't even look functioning. Like, granted, he doesn't have time in the pocket, but it was always said that his size was going to be a negative in the league. And it was the reason, like I sent you, I had Stroud over him and my rankings be just solely off of that was that I figured once he got to the next level and he was going against, yes, he was going against SEC defenders every game, but now he's going against guys who get paid millions of dollars to do this and who are really going back there to take your head off. And I saw it in the first preseason game he had. He just doesn't look big enough out there. And, Kyler doesn't look big enough out there, but Kyler has lightning bolts attached to his feet. Like I was working the Colorado ASU game and Kyler was there and he was standing right behind me. And I looked at him and I'm like, there's no way you are the guy who's just ruining NFL defenses. But it's because he has that escape factor, which is why he can do that. Bryce doesn't have that. The reason Bryce got drafted so high, you can go back to the scouting reports he has, it was because he was so smart and he was knocking everybody out of their boots, in the combine interviews. And, there's something to be said for that. But the game that really pushed me over the edge for Stroud was when he played Georgia and he showed that he was the man. And it was sad that they lost in the fashion that they did, but he still showed against that Georgia defense that he was going to do whatever he wanted.
Yeah, that game kind of like knocked some people draft stocks down. I ain't gonna say no names, but it was a lot of people who were saying, "Oh, this guy cornerback one, this guy's this guy's that." He went from the first round all the way to I don't even see him on the
His
field.
name, Keely Ringo, went to the 4th round.
Yeah, I think that game knocked his draft stock out a lot. But before we get into our power rankings, I want to hear your answer on this take. I was watching forgot the name of that podcast, but the podcast the Pick a Side. I think it was it wasn't Pick a Side. I think it's Pick a Side. I believe so.
One with Joel Moran and like him. Yeah. I actually know him, but yeah. Keep going.
Yeah. I think I can't remember the exact video, but I think they were saying like the quarterbacks they would take over C.J. Stroud, I believe. I think that was the video.
That was them. I know which one you're talking about. They do a version of like would you rather with certain players, and then when the player goes off, they do it. And they did.
So you personally, we're not gonna go through all quarterbacks like who we would pick or blah blah. But you personally, where do you have C.J. Stroud in your quarterback rankings? And I'm not talking about this season. I'm talking about exact quarterback.
He has to be he has to be top 10. That is like that's just got to be a thing now. He has to.
Okay.
He had the single greatest rookie performance from a QB we've ever seen. That also should be a fact. 475 game-winning touchdown. He checked every box in that game. Who cares if it was against Tampa? He checked every box. Let me pull up the quarterbacks in the league because I really don't think I saw somebody say it was T-Law's division for, years to come. And I remember sitting there to myself and I was like, I don't really know if it's for sure because I still haven't seen T-Law give me a 470 in 5 game. So I'm going off a ceiling right here. I'll give you Josh Allen, Burrow, Jackson, Herb. I'd actually right now, I really would give you Goff too. I'd take Goff over Stroud right now. I think Goff is playing a phenomenal version of ball, and it doesn't get talked about. But everybody has this game managing around him. But you might not agree with that one, but I think Goff is.
Not
There's
at
something
all.
to be said for how Goff is playing right now, and I'm taking account into last season. Probably wouldn't take Kyler over him, not Deshaun. Did I say Herb already?
But that's a given.
Yeah, that's a given. You got Hurts, Tua, Mahomes, and that's like eight.
But
Huh?
Tua, Tua.
Okay. I could see the questions around Tua. I told you in last episode, I think what he's doing right now is very hard. He missed the throw against, for the game against the Chiefs.
He
But
smoked that. He smoked the game.
he did. And okay, yeah, I won't be mad at that one. I'll take Stroud over Tua, and I won't look twice. I won't think twice about that one. So realistically, I'm taking 6 to 7 guys max over CJ, which tells you enough about how the
I,
Texans should feel.
I don't want to be like, I don't want to get stoned for it or nothing. But I don't want to hop on the edge, seem like a glazer, but
Don't say top five, B. Don't say top five.
no, 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 no. I'm not saying top five. I'm not saying top five. Of course, you got Pat, Pat Hurts, Burrow, Lamar,
Josh,
Josh, Herb.
that's 6.
I'm missing some. I'm gonna give you Trevor only because he's been in the league longer. But I feel like if you put them on, if you swap places, I feel like the production is probably around the same.
I don't know, because like TJ
But
hasn't given me a 3 passing touchdown game all season.
but
Not even a
Stroud
3 touchdown total.
Stroud is safer. Stroud is safer with the ball. I would say that.
And smarter. Like
Yeah.
what he displays on film, and it's just time and it's pass over pass over pass, and it's just him delivering the ball in stride to the tight end, to the receiver, and it's just you're sitting there like
I
this
just
is
don't.
this isn't a rookie quarterback.
I don't want to overreact. I don't want to jinx him. So for safekeepings, I'm gonna have Trevor Lawrence over him. Now, how long can I have Trevor Lawrence over him? I don't know. Like if I'm seeing the same production from the past, however long Trevor Lawrence been in the league, falling the next year, and I see C.J Stroud do he's doing it again next year.
I don't know,
Don't
because
shoot me.
for me at least, it's like T Law, and I think T Law has been very good. But I told you last week when we were talking about Levis's 4 touchdown 230 game that I still was on the fence about him as a player because yes, on the stat sheet it looked real good, but
Yeah,
on film, a lot of airmail passes. He was a little behind D Hop on a couple passes. But I'll sue me. I'll overreact for this Stroud game. Like every pass was delivered on time in Stroud. Like it's just not things you see on film from a rookie QB.
yeah.
And you see those things and you see those signs and those like these are more than flashes. This is who he is as a player.
Performances.
Yeah, this is just how he is. This is what you can expect week in and week out from CJ Stroud to come. Shoot, if I was the Texans, I'd be jumping for joy right now if I were them because seeing that from your QB, people are gonna talk about the stats, but it was just each pass that he made down to down that was just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, one of the people in the picket side said he'll take Tua, Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence, I say I'm kind of in between on. I could give you with Kyler Murray. He made me mad with that one. I'm not taking Kyler Murray with C.J. Stroud. And then he said Dak Prescott. He started losing me. I'm sorry.
I
It's
saw
a lot.
that. I saw Dak on the list, and I didn't even think twice about it. I didn't
Yeah,
even think twice about it.
but it's like also I feel like if you put C.D. Stroud in the Jaguars, honestly, I feel like they don't lose some of the games they have lost this season.
Hey,
Like
I'm
you're giving him better playmakers. It's like you're literally giving him better wide receivers than what he has in Houston, and a better running back than what he has in Houston, and a better coach than what he has in Houston. So it's like Trevor Lawrence's situation is better, but like I
I'm
would
really
say
excited. I'm excited to see how aggressive the Texans are this offseason in terms of, adding talent because their running back position is lackluster. You got Pierce, who's been in and out of games, and his backup is Singletary. Your tight end one is Dalton Schultz, and he seemed to build a nice little rapport with C.J. Stroud. So I might be content with them sticking with him for a couple more years, because if I can get 130 out of my tight end, feel free. I'll take
Yeah,
that.
like Schultz is real serviceable. I actually liked Schultz when he was with Dallas. I kind
Yeah.
of
It's just those you want to, you got Nico Collins, and he's really stepping into that. Why, I said earlier in the episode that they don't have a wide receiver one, but he's really stepping into that role. But I think they should really prioritize adding either a true one or a guy who's going to really complement really well. Like, I could really see a guy like Malik Neighbors fitting really well in this offense for the sole factor of, I've got the slot guy in Tank, I've got the big body guy in Nico. And then if you get me a guy who, I think Neighbors plays a game where he plays a game, I don't want to say it's Jamar Chase-esque, but it's like he's going to make the first guy miss, and he's going to give you yards after the catch. And that's the piece that I think they're missing right now, is that, Noah Brown had it for this game, but Noah Brown's not going to do that on a consistent basis. I feel like if you throw Neighbors into this offense, and where they should be picking, I think Neighbors should be there. If you throw him with his ability to take passes after the catch, he's got strong hands. He's very fast. I think he'd be the piece to take this offense over the top.
Yeah, it's really exciting to see where the Texans head forward. I think they sitting at a good record right now, I believe.
I think they're 4-5, or yeah, I think they're 4-5.
For the Texans, it's a good record, and the AFC is wide open. So,
oh yeah, they're like a game and a half out of the 7th wildcard spot.
yeah, like the AFC is wide open as far as I feel like the playoffs is pretty gonna be locked in, really. But if depending on how teams come out, injuries could happen any week, slumps could happen anytime, teams could blow up at any time, and some people's schedules are easier than the next man. So yeah, but I'm really excited to keep watching Texas football. I love their offense. I love what they're doing. Now to the last part of the episode, our power rankings. Some losses put some teams I have in real questionable areas, but it's around the same that it's been all season. I really had. I'm gonna just go down my AFC to NFC. I'm gonna just get straight into my then I'm gonna do like the NFL. For AFC, it should be pretty simple, really. I got Baltimore 1, shouldn't even be no question. 2, I'm in between on a little bit. I got KC 2. I got Kansas City 2.
And you got the Bengals 3.
I have the Bengals 3.
Exactly. I had this same dilemma. I'm sitting here and I'm like, now I'm giving KC the 2 spot out of respect. They won the Super Bowl. Like, they're a team that can turn it on at any time.
And they're winning.
The Bengals really hot right now.
Yeah.
They're beating good teams.
Like KC's they didn't get off to a slow start. That's the only reason why they're 2 right now. Bengals got off to a slow start. That's why they're 3. But within a week or two, Bengals can easily get 2. And I really want to put Bengals 2 because of that Niners win and that Bills win. The Niners and Bills win is really big. Really, really big. Just like Baltimore's Seattle win and Lions win.
If KC didn't win the Super Bowl last year, right now, no matter the start to the season, I would have given the Bengals a nod, put them at 2, put them at 3. But I feel like it's just a respect thing right now that when they have Patrick Mahomes under center and Travis Kelce and everybody's healthy, even they didn't have Tyreek last year, won a Super Bowl. And they might not have him this year, and they might not be looking as dominant as they did last year, but they still are the Chiefs, and they're still going to be game in, game out, one of the toughest teams to play.
Like, they're just winning games. Like, they're just winning games. Now at 4 and 5, it's rough. I have it. It's like a 3-way tie. Only because, and I'm gonna explain it. I'm gonna give this team last. Now Buffalo, I'm torn on Buffalo. I don't know what's going on, but I can never count Buffalo out. I just know Buffalo. I just can't count them out. And there's not a lot of teams I'll still put over them. Miami too. Now they just got off to a high start. I'm slowly falling off from Miami. Only reason they still there is because of they still got Tyreek Hill. They still have a great coach. They still have a high power offense. And they still have their defense is around, but they haven't fully come around yet. They just got Ramsey back. I feel like in my gut, it's telling me, what I'm saying, they'll start routing things together back how they got to the high start. but they're on a tie with Buffalo. I think they both just lost this previous weekend. Yeah, Miami lost to KC in terrible. Well, I ain't gonna say terrible fashion, but terrible ending. And Buffalo just lost to Cincinnati. Did it? Yeah. They played Cincinnati, right? Yeah. Now this other team is have some good wins under their belt, but they just came off a bye, Jacksonville. Now with Jacksonville, we don't know what we're getting yet, but I like a couple wins they have under their belt. I like how they played Buffalo earlier in the season. Before the bye, I think they played the Steelers and won in good fashion. I like their team. I like their coaching. I just have to see more of them. I just have to see more. And the only reason they're right there with them teams is because they came off a bye, and the week before that, they came off a big Steelers win. And I like how they played Buffalo earlier in the season. I just haven't seen more of them to put them at a for sure fourth spot.
Yeah, I think I got that. We have the exact same list actually. I got Baltimore 1, KC 2, Bengals 3. I had Dolphins 1 last week, dropped them to 4. You know, like you said, they still have that high-powered offense. I think the defense will round it out. Javon Hollins, like he's playing some of the best ball he's played of his career. And then I got the Bills at 5. And the reason that I gave them the nod over Jacksonville, because I had Jacksonville at 4 last week, but I bumped them down out of the top 5, only because even though they lost, I think right now we are seeing the scariest Bills offense that we've seen in the past like 5 to 6 years, only because with the Bills, it was always if Diggs is out, like if we lock Diggs up, either Gabe Davis is going to be completely ghost or he's going to go off. And that's what they relied on was, okay, we just hope that we get Gabe on the one of those days where he's going to go off and not be invisible. But now they've got James Cook he's playing the type of ball that they drafted him to play. He's being an extension of the receiving game, coming out of the backfield. He's running the balls in between the hashes fairly well. It's not, they're not building too big of a run game, but he's doing a good enough job. And then I think that the master's piece of it all is just Kincaid. Kincaid at the tight end position opens it up so much. Was one of his biggest fans this past offseason. I think he was a steal to get where they got him at. I thought he was going to go a lot higher because he just plays a very Travis Kelce-esque kind of brand of football, and it's feeling out, in zone, where are the gaps? If I have a drag, I might stop at a couple yards short because I see the defenders right there, and I know if I stop right here, I can probably get the first down. And he plays that brand of football, and I think that's the piece that Josh was missing for so long to take him over the edge.
Yeah, but I still feel like they just got to piece it together. We know Buffalo's a great offense, you know what I'm saying? Great team. They just got to run together. But I feel like they have to start giving James Cook the ball more and stop relying on Josh Allen and Diggs to play superhero ball for 16 plus weeks in a season. Like you can't win every single game like that. We know teams know your game plan. Teams are game planning for Diggs and Josh Allen. Even though they are unguardable players, you can't keep relying on every game, every Sunday, every Thursday. You know what I'm saying? You can't just win football games like that. But on to the NFC though. Number one, no question, Philly. They win games. No ifs, ands, or buts. I'm sorry. I don't care. They win games. 2, got the Niners. I like their defense. Brock Purdy just has to come around. He was playing cool ball. He's in a slump right now. I feel like he will come around. 3, Detroit. Detroit is at number 3 because the next 2 teams took losses. Last week, I think I had Seattle at 4. Seattle just took a terrible loss, dropped them down to 5, put Dallas at 4, and Dallas at 4 because they played a good game against the Eagles. That's why I have them at 4.
No, I'm not shaking my head because I disagree with you. I'm just shaking my head because, me and you have been able to, throughout the group chats and everything like that. The reason we started this was because we respected each other's ball knowledge, and I'm really seeing it now because we think the same. I dropped the boys down, or I dropped the boys up to 4, and I dropped the Hawks to 5. I couldn't drop them out of the top 5 completely because they've been playing a good brand of football, so I got to respect that. The boys lost in very respectable fashion to the people I have number 1, to the team I have number 1. And the only difference I have is Detroit and the Niners. Well, we know how I feel about Detroit. I think they're playing their best brand of football that they possibly could be. They got the run game going. The pass game, like I told you, I'd probably take, in this moment, I would take Goff over him. But I think Goff playing some of the best ball he's played in his career And that defense is, man, their rookies are playing really well on that defensive side. You've got Brian Branch. I will never understand how he dropped to the second round. And then Jack Campbell's play. He's really being that middle linebacker that they hoped he would come into shape to be. So sounds like our power rankings are sitting at a pretty comfortable, similar spot right now.
And the only reason I still have Seattle right there is because I like Seattle defense. Even though they gave up that 37 or 36, however many points the Baltimore scored, it was like a slow walk. I'm going to just punch you in your mouth 37.
Yeah.
And defense, and I like what Seattle is building around. And people don't forget, Seattle technically still isn't even supposed to be in this position, kind of like they were basically in a rebuild kind of like last year and lucked up with how Geno Smith was playing great. And this year it's only Geno Smith holding them back. Out of every single team that I didn't name, either had a franchise quarterback or a great defense, or a quarterback who that franchise think is their franchise quarterback. Everybody might think there's a franchise quarterback. The Niners don't have a franchise quarterback. They have a great defense. Everybody else, you could probably say Jared Goff and Dak Prescott is a franchise quarterbacks, depending on who you are. But that franchise believes in them. That's why that franchise still has them. Seattle is really the only team where they probably don't feel comfortable with their quarterback game in, game out. I literally watched Geno Smith hold the ball for more than 3 to 4 seconds in that football game on Sunday. And it wasn't, some of those plays just wasn't on this O-line. Some of them could be on this O-line very well because Baltimore has a great front seven. They have great stunts all around. They know what to do with their front seven. But some of them, he was just sitting in the back, holding on to the ball, not letting the ball go. And then some plays he was trying to, run around and just dump it off.
I feel very passionately about this, and I hate to cut you off, but it's just how passionate I am about this. It's just that, a lot of times, yes, you can blame the O-line for sacks, but people do not, we need to start crediting quarterbacks with the sack stat, because there are a lot of times where the O-line gets blamed for sacks happening and it don't be their fault. When Seattle played the Giants, I went back and as painful as it was, I rewatched the entire game and I counted 7 out of the 11 sacks that could have been credited to Daniel Jones, because he just won't get the ball out. And that happens with a lot of quarterbacks. You have to get the ball, especially when you're going against Baltimore's defense. Your time to throw is 3 seconds max. So you got to get that thing out.
So. Yeah. I mean, like I said, nonetheless, Seattle, I think they still have a bright future ahead of them. Surprisingly, they're still number one in the division with the Niners on their heels. Philly, a little comfortable. They still got Dallas behind them, but, they're not afraid of Dallas, really. Detroit, good team, great team. AFC, like I said, AFC is really wide open. Baltimore leading the pack right now. I want to see how long they can do it. I want to see more of the Jags, of course. Cincy hot. I think they're going to keep it rolling. It's too soon to really call anything right now. There's this great football being displayed onto another slate. I don't know who's playing tonight. Thursday Night Football, I think it's.
Unfortunately, it is the Bears and the Panthers, but that has big draft implications for me. So I will be watching. Go Panthers.
Don't think I'll be watching that game, actually. Maybe soon. Yeah. Hopefully. I hope Bryce Young could do something. You know what I'm saying? That's the most I might get out of the game. Hopefully he could do something. Mm-hmm. But this to conclude this episode 3 right here for Not Ball Talk. Thank y'all for tuning in. See y'all next time.